Hi guys, it's Mrs. C here with Cycle 1, Week 16. It was a weird week this week. Half of our campus was out, random things, not all COVID related. Some out of town, some sick with other things. And so I had only 4 kids in my class. And it's just like a totally different feeling. And I don't know where in the country you are, but here in Indiana, we are preparing for snowpocalypse, which means that we'll get all prepared for snow and then we'll have a beautiful day tomorrow because that's how Indiana goes. But it was just rainy all day and everybody was just kind of subdued. So it wasn't too bad. There wasn't a ton of energy and that was fine. So anyway, I only had 4 kids in my class, so everything went really fast today, and we ended up just having like a lot of extra time at the end. I really tried to drag everything out, but there's only so much you can do, especially because I have the older kids and several of them are memory mastering, and so they like already know a bunch of the material. So anyway, but we started off with geography as usual, went through so when I was looking at the rivers, they kind of like the Congo River looks like a big hill of a roller coaster. So I was like, all right, we're going to go Congo. It just made me think of going up and down a roller coaster. And then we were going to take it easy on the Zambezi. So it does have a big dip, but it's kind of more, looks a little more gentle. And then the Orange River was the one that's more flat down at the bottom. And that was like, orange, you glad we didn't ride those crazy roller coasters up there. And then Lake Victoria, depending on the map that you're using. So the black line map that I have that was available through Office Depot, that's the big blown up one, the geographical features just look slightly different on that. I don't know why that is, but on the map that is in your guide and the trivia tables, they do look the same. It just looked different on my big blown up map. But so Lake Victoria, I said you could remember it like Queen Victoria. We do a V for it, but we always kind of like, pinkies up proper. And Lake Victoria kind of looks like someone taking their teacup with their pinky up. It's kind of circular with this little pointy part that comes up. Or I said, if you want to think about victory, it kind of looks like someone going like, yeah, and punching their arm up in the air like we won. There's just this little piece that comes up there, just trying to help them find an identifying mark with Lake Victoria, because there are a few other lakes around there to help them remember which one it is. So we went Congo up and over, and we took it easy on the Zambezi, and then the Orange, you glad we weren't on the other river coasters, and then Lake Victoria. So that's what we did for geography. As usual, we went back through, reviewed all the areas, on the Africa part of the map, and just tried to cover whatever we could and incorporate all those different parts and just where they are. And then I go back to the current week's geography and hit that again. So then we went from that into Latin, and we just sang through the declension. Again, this is their 4th week of the year having this, so they just got it down. So we just sang it while we were putting our maps up and stuff. Went through that really easily. Then we moved on to math. And so for math, we have area of a rectangle. And I know they may be a little old, getting a little old for songs, but my geometry song that I've sung every year is my favorite because they remember it. And my daughter was like, are we doing the song? Because you made me learn the song every year and now I know it, so we should do it. So we did. Excuse me, goodness. If you are not familiar with the song, I will sing the whole thing for you. And you can look up the geometry song and it should come up for you on YouTube. So it goes, the beginning goes, geometry, geometry, let's learn about geometry. The area of a rectangle equals length times width. The area of a square equals length of its side squared. The area of a triangle equals 1/2 base times height. The area of a circle equals pi times the radius squared. The circumference of a circle equals 2 times pi times the radius. Geometry, geometry. Let's learn about geometry. So I discovered that song like years ago, probably my first year in CC, and it has just stuck with me, and that's what I teach every year. And if you've been in my class before, you know that song because I teach it every year. So anyway, so we have the area of a rectangle equals length times width. So I did see on the Facebook tutor page some people questioning length times width and the hand motions. And the fun thing is, especially for the older kids, and we did talk about this a little bit today because we had so much extra time, that it doesn't matter which one the length and which one the width is as far as the area goes. Because as we learn later, the commutative law states that A times B is equal to B times A. So it really doesn't matter. And then we kind of went into a little bit with squared, with S squared, that all squares are rectangles. So it is still length times width. It's just the length and the width are the same thing. So I had to take a minute to talk about that because we had extra time. So that was math. Then we went to helping verbs. So we have has, have, had. And we are, I don't mean to do so many songs. I really haven't done that many songs this year, but apparently I have songs for everything now. So if they're doing the song, because some of them already have them memorized to a different tune, or they have them memorized just by chanting, which is totally fine. But the song so far is going, helping verbs, help another verb assert an action, being, or existence. Helping verbs make lots of sense. Helping verbs are do, does, did, has, have, had. And then we'll continue. Continuing on, it goes, may, must, might, should, could, would, shall, will, can. Helping verbs will lend a hand. So that is the song. The one that I linked in the previous video, it is different because it was from the previous version. It was from the fourth edition of the foundation guide. And so at that time they had some verbs that can also be linking verbs in with the helping verbs. They can work as both. And now in our guides, if you look, they have separated them out. So we will learn week 20 what a linking verb is, and then week 21 we will have helping and linking verbs because there are some that work as both. So they took those out. So this list is verbs that are just helping verbs. So I'll sing that again for you because I don't know if there is an official version of this one out. So helping verbs, help another verb assert an action, being, or existence. Helping verbs make lots of sense. Helping verbs are do, does, did, has, have, had, may, must, might, should, would, could, shall, will, can. Helping verbs will lend a hand. So if you would like a song, there's a song. We also just chanted them in class. So do, does, did, has, have, had. And we just went through and chanted. We went ahead and did all the weeks. Because again, we had time. We had so much time today. Most weeks I feel like I am just scrambling to try to get everything in. And this week it was literally like, how do I have 10 more minutes? So anyway, okay. So then we went on to science. So science, I've been bringing in the science cards for this cycle. Those have been just really fun to read a little fact off of to go along with it. I also have this Bachelor Science book, which I think I've referenced before. It's super fun. It has chapter 2 is all about molten maniacs, which is volcanoes, and just talks a little bit about volcanic rock. So we had our 4 different kinds of volcanoes. And if you look, they spell out AIDE, AIDE. So I wrote up AID, and then our mnemonic device for that was, it didn't explode, or it didn't explode. So like, you know, when you think of volcanoes, you think about them exploding, but most volcanoes don't explode. So it's kind of like, it didn't explode. So AIDE. That's what we did for volcanoes, and we just said them a few times. So I will remind you, because I keep forgetting, that when you ask what are 4 kinds of volcanoes, when you're going over them in class, especially if you've got memory masters, they need to answer, so you need to model answering back. 4 types of volcanoes are, and then listing the volcanoes. I get ahead of myself because I don't write out the 4 types of volcano, 4 kinds of volcanoes are. I just write the list like it is in the guide, but we do need to be saying that. And I have an awesome student who always helps remind me that I need to say that. So then we did the bomb game. We hadn't done that for a few weeks for timeline. And again, because we had extra time, we took a moment and read a little bit about the age of industry, since that's what we're entering. And we talked about which I don't remember. I think they took the song out because we used to have a song that was Watt's steam engine, Cartwright's power loom, and Whitney's cotton gin spurred the Industrial Revolution that began in the 1760s. But I think they took that one out. So we talked about if they remembered that, because some of them have been in since before we had the guide change. We talked about that for a minute, and then we talked about how these timeline cards, they don't just happen all by themselves, that they influence each other, that the American Revolution is what influenced the French Revolution. So again, this is extra stuff, and I don't typically suggest teaching in class. That's not our job. We are just supposed to introduce this material and get it in 7 times. However, when it is a rainy day, you get done with morning assembly early, and you only have 4 kids in class, sometimes you do have the opportunity to add a little bit more. But if you don't, do not feel like you have to. And again, that's not like technically our job. So that is more mom at home does that kind of stuff. I just today happen to have the ability to go over this. So I'm not suggesting that everybody out there needs to go over all of these things. It's just what I had time for today. So that was all of New Grammar. It was great. For review today, again, dreary, low energy day here today. I brought in kinetic sand because I was bringing it in for afternoon class for essentials for the kids to play with, because I knew they wouldn't be able to go outside. And I got it out for the older kids, and they played, and we reviewed the whole time while they played with kinetic sand. So, typically we think about Play-Doh and stuff like that for the younger kids, but sometimes the older kids like to do that too. And it's a nice, easy way to go through a ton of memory work with them while they played. So, yeah. History. I didn't do history. I was like, I was forgetting. History today. We also did something chill for that. We've
a couple of appointments. Lauren. At
Thank
5
you.
p.m. Cancel 10 new boys practice.
Thank you, Siri.
All day today.
Siri, stop.
Groundhog Day.
Okay. I don't know what that was. Anyway, but we did, we've had these papers that will be going in the front of our science and art folders for the year that just kind of have, I think our director got them from an Etsy store, and she gave them to each of the kids to put in the front of their folder. And as we've had time throughout the year, we've just colored them. So today, because we had a short history sentence, I let them get those out and work on coloring them while we sang through our history sentence. So, again, it's a pretty short one. And yeah, so that was what we did for history. I'm sorry that I forgot that. That was everything. And we have a week off next week. I did want to tell you guys that. I know some of you are along with me, and I'm really sorry if that throws you off. We build in a week for makeup or snow makeup or something like that. And we haven't had to use it. So we now have a week off, and then we'll have a few more weeks, and then we'll have spring break. So anyway, I'm sorry if that messes you up. Don't hate me. It was not my decision. Anyway, okay, well, thanks, guys. I hope you have an awesome week. I hope if you are where there's going to be a lot of snow that you stay warm and safe, and I will see you guys back in 2 weeks with week 17. Thanks, guys.